The first game I want to talk about is a game that came out recently to Kickstarters. It is Time of Legends: Joan of Arc, designed by Pascal Bernard and published by Mythic Games. Okay, so I have some history behind this game, being that I don't own it. That's not the history, but this is from Derek, my boy Derek.
Yo, what
Uh,
up, Derek?
he has backed every game that they've come out with, right? So there was the first one was Conan, which was like a combination of Mythic and Monolith. I don't remember the exact relationship. I probably
Yeah,
got that wrong.
yeah.
But then they did Mythic Battles Pantheon.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which I played. I don't know if that was Derek who backed that or another one from our group. They may have been Dave. Anyway, that's not important. And then we played Batman, which we talked about a few episodes
Yep.
ago.
We play Batman. Yep.
And now there's Joan of Arc. Sorry, Time of Legends, Joan of Arc. Side note, I was listening to this one podcast. I don't remember which one, but they say that every time they think of a colon in a game title, they think that everything comes after the colon is like poop, because poop comes out of colons. And it made me chuckle. So yeah. All right. Anyway, this one,
Would
Joan
you
of
want to
Arc.
reverse it? Joan of Arc: Time of Legends,
See, that's the thing. Unless they're coming out with more
like Time of
game,
Legends series. Like Time of
yeah, it's like a
Legends is going
series.
to be like a series of games. I did not
Yeah.
take that into consider. Joan of Arc was a game that I've heard of. I've never considered interest into it, so that's why I'm glad you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Alas, please continue.
I will. Thank you. This is the best one out of all of them. Okay. It is absolutely fantastic. And the reason is that, well, okay, I'll back up. So, Batman, I was kind of lukewarm on just because it was fine, but it was too finicky, too many icons to remember, just too much going on. Okay. And the investment of effort to remember all the rules was just too much. Enter in this game, it is just beautifully streamlined. Okay. Now, it's still basically the same game. So, actually that's not true. It's not basically the same game. It's the same type of game. So this is a dudes or dudettes on a map, just duking it out. Okay, and it's on the map are hex tiles. I'm trying not to burp while talking about this, so I just like talk through it, and it's just gross. I apologize. I'm gonna take a minute and let that burp come out, and it is now
No,
out,
no.
and I'm going to continue.
Oh my god.
Okay, so on the hexes, hexes are divided up into different terrain types, but that doesn't matter. But they're just different areas. Okay, so a hex could be broken into 1, 2, or 3 zones, I guess, and each zone can hold a certain amount of people or monsters or whatever. And there are buildings that you could put in, and there's a ton of different scenarios. Each factions, there are different factions, and I don't remember them. There was like angels with wings. There was like devils with also wings. And then there was Joan of Arc, who did not have wings, but then like the humans. And I'm sure there's a lot more lore behind this, and I'm totally butchering that thematic side of it. But the gameplay is what I want to focus on. So everyone's a bit different. There are cards that tell you the abilities of each character that's out there, and you have a certain amount of points that you build a faction with, and so that kind of balances out a tiny bit. But then on your board, in front of you, there are different types of actions that you can do, and you get a certain amount of cubes, and the cubes could be either a normal action, or they could be a reactivation of a certain area, or they could be a reaction to another player's action. Okay. And so the actions are basic, like move and attack. But what's interesting is once you take an action cube and you activate a zone where the figures are, and you activate them by either moving or attacking. Okay, so if a figure ever is in a zone that has a cube, that means it's already been activated, and you cannot activate them again unless you use like a blue reactivation cube, or I'm not sure what the color is. And so you're trying to figure out what the best way to do these actions are and how to manipulate your cubes the right way. And attacking is still your basic, just chucking the dice and stuff, and it's just, that's normal fare. But then as you are destroying each other, there's this other sideboard that you go to that kind of manages everything else in the round. Each round, a card will be flipped, and it will tell you how many actions everyone gets. It ranges from like 3 to 5, I believe. And then there's another set of cards that come out that you can purchase other abilities, either more actions or different types of actions, like your reactions or reactivations. It seems like a lot, and it makes sense if you see what I'm talking about because I'm kind of just flying
So,
through this.
yeah, well,
Mm,
so we what I've done, what I'm doing is I'm just through Board Game Geek and I'm just filling up
yeah.
your monitor with different screenshots, so we kind of get an understanding of, oh my god, that is a huge miniature.
Oh, yes, there are huge, huge miniatures in this game. The Kickstarter came with a dragon, I believe. That's the biggest
Yeah.
miniature I've ever seen in person, and it's incredible. We did not play with it. It is big, and I guess there is a bigger dragon miniature that people got as well that they could purchase.
Mm-hmm.
That's like super big.
Oh, there's a dragon, I think. Oh my god, that is a
Yeah,
that is
it
a
is.
that is like a 2 scale dragon
Yeah,
right
it is.
there. That is
It
pretty
is
nuts.
gigantor. Anyway, all this stuff, all it comes down to is a fantastically streamlined experience. Now, I've heard criticism on the rulebook, which they get in every game that they make. However, Derek said it's the best one that they've done yet, and it was actually pretty straightforward. So I did not teach this game, which was a nice, refreshing moment for me, not having to teach and monitor the rules. But I loved this game. I'm not going to buy it because he has it, and the only person I play it with is probably him. And I don't need more two-player fighting games. We actually played this one at 3 players. The other friend of ours who played with us, Joe, did not care for this game because he lost and he thought his faction was unbalanced. But he is willing to play with it again, he said. However, this is definitely one of my favorite two-player fighting games. We just played Rivet Wars again. I played that with my other friend Joe, a different Joe, and that I think is a game that I own. That's my favorite. So my favorite fighting game that I own, I guess I'll put that one in there. Anyway, they're both great, but this one, oh man, it's just really good.
So, is it safe to say that the point of the game is just to wipe out your opponent? Is there something they're supposed to capture? Is there just like a total amount of points that they need to be able to like destroy? What's the whole
hmm
point of winning
Oh,
the game?
excellent. So there are tons of different scenarios. Since this was a 3-player game, we just did everyone against everyone, and you're playing to a certain amount of points. Okay, and different bad guys that you kill are worth a different amount of points. The easier they are, the smaller the number of points that they're worth.
Yep.
Oh, I was saying that a creature, when they're dead, they go to this the sideboard, and they actually have a chance of coming back out on the board. So a dice is rolled. They're either permanently killed or delayed, so they'll come out around later, and so they're not actually dead. So there's that fun like push your luck kind of element with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you end up killing one permanently, if you kill it, you will get those points. And it was actually a super close game between me and Derek. I almost had it, but then he won at the very last minute with one miniature that did get killed. So that's the one we played was just it was 5 rounds, I think, and we probably got like 15 to 20 points each. And so it's not super high scoring, but anyway, that was this scenario. I know there are other scenarios that have like different end game conditions. So I know there's a lot of variety to explore in that. And I don't know what the base box is going to be at retail. I know they're thinking about bringing out a much cheaper entry level box for this game, but it's cool.
How do you attack?
So it's just rolling dice. You'll activate an area,
Okay,
and they'll be
right.
able to attack adjacent to them. If they have range, they can attack maybe 2 spaces away. Oh, and if you actually, this is funny. Creatures who have flying can fly up to a sky board. So it's just like a blue, cloudy board, and they can attack anywhere else on the board. So they're like up in the air shooting down.
Really?
It's
Huh.
really interesting. It's actually super clever how they do it. Anyone in the sky can attack anyone else in the sky, but anyone in the sky can actually attack everyone else on the ground. And on the ground, if you can attack the sky, then that's like an ability that you have, but then they can attack anyone in the sky. It's super fascinating. And then when you move off of the sky, you can land back anywhere on the board. So if
Okay.
I'm saying any rules wrong, it is completely Derek's fault because he taught the game.
Derek.
Derek.
Um So, okay, this to me very much looks like a war game. Like
Yes.
immediately what I think of is Warhammer Fantasy.
Sure.
right?
Yeah, because it is a smaller scale. I don't know what the scale is for Warhammer Fantasy, but this is I think it's a 15 millimeter scale versus a 28 millimeter. So,
Can you say what either drew you or Derek to backing this game? Because I could tell, for one, the people who back this game, just for people who love miniatures, there is ample amount.
yes.
Probably more so than like what Simon would usually provide, or
Hmm.
which have been for me kind of the more of the, kings of miniatures. Shall we say, in the board game sphere, outside of your Warhammers, your Game Workshops,
Yeah.
etc. So what drew Jarek, what drew Derek and you and your friends to be able to say, hey, I want to spend this amount of money to purchase Joan of Arc and play it? Like, is it the gameplay? Was it the miniatures? Was it the theme? I mean, what was it?
For Derek, I believe it was the miniatures. He's very drawn to miniatures. I know that, and the gameplay did seem different enough, and he's just loved the other ones that have come out. I think he actually has since sold Batman since we played it last, so I
Oh,
definitely will never
really?
be playing that one again. Yeah,
Wow.
because he's realizing that he keeps backing these games with miniatures, and they all end up being kind of similar enough, and that one is just kind of the weakest of the bunch, I believe.
Interesting.
Uh, but this one, I don't know what it was for me, but once he got it, I was like, oh, I should probably start checking this out because he'll want to play it, and I would like to play it as well. And so just I started looking at the gameplay and what people were saying about it. It just seems different enough that it piqued my interest, and that interest tickled my fancy.
come just come full circle. You always got to do that in jokes. You always got to come back full circle.
I always got to come back around.
Last question
Yeah.
is, what was your favorite moment from this game?
Oh, my favorite moment from this game. So I had a big creature. I was not doing super hot. I had a lot of my guys off the board, but I had one big turtley looking dude, and he went in, and I did this move where I attacked someone and then I retreated back, and so they couldn't attack me back. And I was trying to get Joan of Arc because she's worth a ton of points, but I almost got her, but I didn't. But I did push her back into the other players in range of the other player, and he actually took out Joan of Arc. And then my turtle guy, I put him on top of a building which had no gameplay mechanism associated with it. It just looked really funny. So I had this big turtle in a church, and he still died, but it was just really epic. It's a very cinematic approach, I guess I could say, to this, because the buildings, the terrain, are actual plastic models as well.
Yep. Yeah, I
Right?
saw that too.
Yeah.
Is Joan of Arc a playable like faction, or is she just kind
Hmm.
of like a lone? Okay, so out of the 3-player game, your other friend played Joan
Yeah.
of Arc.
So Derek was Joan of Arc and the humans, I guess, and she was really good at commanding other faction, like other miniatures, right? And so she was the commanding leader, and oh yeah, yeah, she was super strong. Her
Cool.
faction was super strong.
And then okay, you played Turtlemen,
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
what was the other group?
I had like flying demons and something else.
History of Joan of Arc definitely skewed in this board game.
I don't know any of the lore. I don't know anything, but it was. I mean, I don't remember learning about the dragons or Satan himself. I've heard there is
God.
a really cool devil miniature that he didn't get, but I think I've heard that's super cool as well.
There's a picture that I threw up on your side while you were talking where all of the boxes that you could get for this game stood about like at least 5.5 feet tall minimum.
That's amazing.
That's so much board game. I don't like. I can't
Oh
fathom
yeah,
it. But then again, I go to the game center and I see people that bring tubs of all
yeah,
different types of war stuff.
it's
So,
true. And I really need to like be more picky about the games that I back, and that's why like I didn't back this game. I and I think we talk about this a lot, but like actually getting games that we're going to play multiple times.
yeah.
So I just wonder I wonder when the Kickstarter bubble is going to burst, because there's just so much content out there. There's so much content. It's completely overwhelming.
I know, but
Completely
that
overwhelming.
just makes it easier for you to be able to, I think, figure out what. I mean, not
That's true.
necessarily easier. I well, how can I phrase this? I'm really glad that there's a lot of great new ideas coming out, and yes, there is a lot of it.
Hmm.
I do think that we will see the amount of quote unquote failures be higher,
Yeah,
but I think it is still great that we are pushing the envelope to take designs to new levels, because then there will be that one idea that just sparks a revolution, or perhaps like turn in how we perceive
that's a great
games,
point.
right?
And you know what? Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's exciting. Okay, I think you just changed my mind. I think that's a fantastic point of view to this. So the points where I was getting frustrated is Peterson Games has a game up right now on Kickstarter called, you know what? I will figure that out and come back to it. But it's not going to be delivered until January of 2021. I think the hard time I'm having now is waiting for games. And I want to now just pay for a game and get it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to be patient. Like I just did that. You just posted on Instagram a picture of
Space Gate Odyssey.
Space Gate Odyssey, and that's a game that I heard about a while back that I wanted to like stay in touch with, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize it had already come out. And I ordered it at my local game store immediately after seeing that because it's
Oh
a game that
wow,
I'm very interested in. Hopefully, you liked it. Did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah. So quick mini review on it. The game is
Yeah.
really fun. However, I think it's a touch long.
Ah, interesting.
It's a
Okay,
touch long.
cool.
So I think
Yeah.
for a 3-player game, doing a teach and play, it took about 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was long. But you do speed along, and like the first half hour to 45 minutes of the game, I found it to be just more like I was playing just to see what was happening. And then
Hmm.
when you hit the latter half, it was like, okay, now I understand what I'm doing, and now I understand why we're having to complete this many planets, because it was kind of a slog. And I'm not sure if that was because I was new, or if that's just how the game pace felt.
Yeah. Interesting.
But putting that all aside, in terms of like what you're doing and what you're building in front of you, is quite a spectacle,
Yeah.
and perhaps it's something that I could discuss at a later episode. But
Yeah.
in
Actually,
all,
that's great.
I would say that I had a positive experience. But for me, coming out of that game, there's a couple of, I guess, things about it that probably would be better if I played it more, just in terms of
Okay.
like uh, length of game, I would say.
Which makes sense. So I'm getting my copy on Thursday, and I'll play it before we talk about it on the kicks on a podcast. So future us will be able to talk about it.
Yeah, you should probably. Yeah, you will be able to talk about it, and I can chime in with what I remember, because one thing that I want to do when I start talking about games too is be able to put context behind how many times I've played a game, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, for instance, my next game that I'll be talking about, I've played 3 times. In fact, actually, I played both my next titles 3 times, so that I have a core sense of going in, because normally what will happen is you play a game once and you're like, this is amazing, this is great. And then all of a sudden,
Mhm.
it's like third game in, and you're like, well, I've kind of been able to kind of experience what I wanted to experience out of this.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Oh, I get it. I'm the same way where I love this first play of Joan of Arc. I've only played it once. I feel like I can see a lot of potential in games pretty well. And that's definitely a game I could see a potential of having value of playing it over and over again if you like that style of game, right?
mhm.
So but I think that's a great idea. I'll start doing that too. I'll say how many times I've played a game.
Let me live vicariously through you in Joan of Arc, because I'm never probably gonna play
Yeah, you
that
probably
game
won't.
unless you force me one day. You're like, you're gonna play Joan of Arc. I'm like, no, okay, I can't have fun anymore. Oh dang.
Oh,
So,
that's really
anyways,
funny.
what game were we talking about again?
Joan of Arc. Time. I'm sorry. Time of Legends. Joan of Arc by Mythic Games.
What would you want to be the next Time of Legends game?
Time of Legends.
Terminator.
That would be so amazing. Okay, if it's Time of Legends, I'm assuming it has to be in the past. Uh,
Terminator's in the past.
that's true, but like super past. So like, hold on, no, I know this.
Terminator 1.
Um, what's that South Park episode about the Mongolians? Who's the guy? Why is my brain going blank? The Hun. No. Hold
Attila
on.
the Hun?
It's not Attila the Hun. Sorry, who's the guy that like apparently father like everyone
Jesus.
No, but that would be a great Time of Legends,
Time of
with like
Legends.
monsters and everything. Okay, sorry, that's sacrilegious. Okay, so um, okay, like everyone's ancestry goes back to him because he impregnated so many women.
Oh, it was.
My goodness, I feel so stupid right
No, no,
now.
no, no, no. I know who
People
you're
are
talking
screaming at
about.
their screaming the name out right now as we're speaking. Uh, okay, hold on, and it's
Something the Conqueror.
yeah. Um, okay, hold on.
Attila the Hun. No, Tim, it's
The,
not Attila the Hun. It's gosh. You
the
know what?
con-
You've
okay, okay. Well, we'll think about Genghis Khan.
Genghis
Oh,
Khan. Yeah.
Genghis Khan, and
Genghis
that's what it's going to be.
Khan.
I
Time. Oh,
want,
I could see that. I could
yeah.
definitely see a game like that. That's pretty
Well,
nifty.
it would be cool, and you could totally bring in monsters and stuff to that as well. I think that could
Dope.
be fun.
Bill Mythic Games right now.
I'm
Just send an
gonna call it.
invoice. Time of
All right.
Legends, Jacob Russell.
All I googled was The Conqueror, and it was a movie title that it was people also searched for Genghis Khan, and it was a movie from 1965.
Google's a fascinating just thing in the universe. Just
Okay, no, it is, but here's this: it's a movie from 1965. You know that's going to be super racist today's standards. Just it's probably some white dude who played Genghis Khan.
oh my. All right.
It- It's probably like John Wayne or something like. Oh, it's Omar Sharif. Oh,
Hey.
he played. This is not important. He was the husband in Funny Girl with Barbara Streisand.
You are speaking a different language to me right now. Or you're
So,
definitely showing your age because I don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Funny Girl came out in 1968. Okay, he's addicted to gambling, and he goes. Okay, never mind. That's not important. Anyway, that is Time of Legends: Joan of Arc by Mythic Games.
Talk about a path less traveled.
That
We
was
traveled
good.
down it and then some. Okay.
Woo.
All right. The market.
Hold on, Mark, 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 Mark,
Mark,
Mark,
mark,
Mark.
mark. All right. The game that I want to be able to tell you about is a popular game. It
A
is
popular game.
very popular. Time of Legends Funny Girl. Tim, you're fanning the flames on this one, Tim.
Time
Stop
of
it.
Legends, Funny Girl, where you play Barbara Streisand and dragons.
Time of Legends. Who's the person that played Mystic Pizza?
Oh, Julia Roberts.
Yeah, Julia Roberts. Time of Legends. Julia Roberts. Look
Oh
at
man,
this. We're
she was
going
such a
back.
babe.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was
such a
alright.
babe.
She
No,
was
no,
alright.
she was like, okay, her time for me, late 90s, early 2000s, Julia Roberts.
Nah, see, that wasn't me. I think I was more Sandra Bullock.
Oh, totally. Okay. Uh the one Miss Congeniality, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
that is a great one.
Board games, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm watching you, Tim.